What's up, guys and gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys finally an on-time Ayakashi Triangle review, chapter 85, and unfortunately, it's not a very good chapter. It's not a very good chapter to review on, and the reason I say that is, unless you ship Matsuri with Soga, unless you ship Ninokuro with Matsuri, then I don't see how you would enjoy this chapter very much. I mean, was it a terrible chapter? No. But what it's adding is another element like the Rio stuff that I just personally don't care for. Now, if you do, and you do enjoy that aspect, perfect. You know, you enjoyed it, I didn't. What am I talking about here? Well, in this chapter, what we have here is, of course, the end of the last chapter, the little sister, right? Saying basically that Ninokuro should date Kazumaki because then he'd be able to get over his fear of girls if he was around her enough, blah, 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 you know, the breast jiggling his face every morning. Eventually, you know, as I think it was said in what, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, I think it was said, damn, I've been looking at the same old pair of busted-ass titties for 20 years, you know what I mean? But still wants to see titties, but looking at the same ones over and over and over, it desensitizes you a little bit. Granted, it's never happened to me yet, but still, I'm not going down that road. But at the end of the day, that's basically the idea here. It's realistically speaking, it's not a terrible plan. The girlfriend aspect is a little terrible, but the idea of Ninokuro needs to be surrounded by females all the time, like Suzu and Rio, and well, Rio's the exception also. So Suzu, Shadow Mai, the girls at school like Lu and Yayo, and of course Matsuri, needs to constantly be around them. More will desensitize him. That's not a bad theory, and that would be really good and really helpful, I think, especially for his character, where he has been developing and trying his best to get over this. He understands it's a weakness, and that's fantastic. Now, once again, the big issue here at the beginning of the chapter is that Ninokuro says, forget about that Kazumaki, my sister's being absolutely ridiculous, and gets mad at his little sister, basically saying that you are trying to use my rival to fix my personal issue. Do you know, like, it's not ever really stated, and once again, I wish they had sort of stated this, because they're stating everything else, but they miss the big key moments here. This is another reason I don't really care for this chapter, is because Soga brings up an excellent point at the beginning of the chapter, saying, you tried to use Kazumaki to fix my personal issue. You don't understand anything about him, you know, and then he walks off, sort of idea. Now, the big key thing here that should have been stated was, it's a pride thing. He's my rival. Having him, you know, try to fix my own personal problems, not an external problem that we can work together, you know, team up, the, you know, twin powers unite sort of idea. Let's work together, Goku Vegeta fusion, because there's an enemy in front of them. No, he's got a weakness, and his rival, not that he would, but can exploit it. It's his own personal issue, and trying to use his own rival. It's embarrassing. It's a pride hit. It's a hit it's a masculine hit. It's a lot of hits. It's a hit for a lot of reasons, like pride and his ego and a bunch of stuff, right? And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for him to have to like, they might be friends, but they are also rivals in all things. So the fact of the matter is that this is having him help just shows weakness on his side, and that's part of Ninokuro's character, and we've seen he takes great pride in being an exorcist ninja. I think, like, I'm inferring a lot of this information, but I think we should have been shown that by the end of the chapter. That should have been stated. Instead, the sister took it totally wrong, and I really don't like her character already. Especially since she stole the from Raijin from Final Fantasy VIII, and that's bugging the hell out of me, because Raijin was amazing. So stealing my boy's thunder, quite literally, from Final Fantasy VIII, and you ain't no Raijin. So Yeah, there's a few reasons not to like this chapter because they had a good idea right here, they didn't capitalize on it, and they go a totally different direction. And I'll talk about that here at the end because the rest of it doesn't really matter. She can't focus, and she's training, and she's apparently not very good. It's sort of an Itachi, Sasuke sort of thing going on here. Then where she's not paying attention, she, of course, Shadow Mai happens to be walking by to go hang out with Matsuri and Suzu, throws a kunai, boom, the shuriken, the kunai, damn, into the top of her head, and she's ready to throw fucking hands. Now, this is where Matsuri, not Soga, interferes and basically says, all right, well, here's the deal. It's like, so you're going to fight me for the sake of her? It's like, yeah, you can't, like, I don't care who started it, I'm ending it sort of idea. And this is where Shadow Mai is ready to be like, so finally the farce is over, sort of deal. And I'm like, okay, this could be interesting. The farce is over, all over this. Fair enough. This has been teetering for a long time, and then they go to the comedic route with it, and food is the answer. Once again, they always say lead a man by his stomach. If you own his stomach, that's why find a woman who can cook, because they all what. But the same thing can be said in reverse here. Same deal. Women, find a guy who can cook, because they all what. Because women love a man who can cook. And if you can cook, most women love food. So it's easy to distract them when you bring them Taco Bell when they weren't asking for it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, not that I haven't had Taco Bell in like 20 years, so what would I know? But anyways, point of the matter is that Suzu shows up with a new dessert thing, some type of crepe or something like that, and basically like, here, why don't you try this, and simmers down the situation. They go for the comedy, which I'm not totally against because I think there are more situations here. That's not the bad point of the chapter. I already talked about that. But then comes up the worst part of the chapter is the fact that in the end, what Soga's sister comes away with, what Ninakuro's sister comes away with, is she thinks back to that great moment, like I was talking about, and says, you don't understand anything about Kazumaki. And it's like, I've been thinking about it, and now I know I want Matsuri to be my big sister. It's like, No, it should have been a whole... I don't know how she would have realized this. This wasn't really the situation to realize it in or something, but it should have went the route that I was talking about. And now we're going to have this annoying character who, she's not a fun character. She's kind of annoying already off the bat. And now she's going to be like a Rio. She's going to take things totally in the wrong direction. She's going to attempt this goal that she's never going to succeed at. She's never going to succeed because it's just not correct. And this is the end of the chapter part. And the reason that it's not correct is, I think I already said this at the beginning of the video. I had to record this twice because I had a power bump and it frigged up. But in case I didn't say, you will like this chapter if you are shipping Ninakuro with Kazumaki. You will like this chapter. However, and I'm not talking the fan fiction, I'm not talking the doujin, I'm not talking the yaoi fan groups that are drooling at the whole idea. I'm talking legit, within story. Do you ship them? Now, here's part of the problems as to, if you do, that's fine. I mean, it's clear that Suzu is going to end up with Matsuri, and Matsuri is eventually going to be, I'm a real boy again. He's going to pull, I'm a real boy, the Pinocchio thing, right? So that's going to end up happening, right? We're pretty clear on that. Now, granted, if you like Soga with Matsuri, all right, let's talk about why that's a bit of a problem of a ship. In real context, not once again outside of the doujins and all the shit for other uses. Talking about the real storytelling aspects of this, the characteristics. The problem with this is that number one, you can't have Matsuri. The reason I mentioned yaoi is because that would go against the entire grain of the story. Here's why. Chapters upon chapters ago, we already had this discussion about Matsuri maybe is happier as a girl. He might want to permanently stay as a girl. And Suzu went out of her way to prove that that's not really the case. Was there good aspects of this situation happening? Yes. Was there some, silver linings? There weren't just, there were pros that came out of this situation. Their friendship got better, Matsuri made more friends, blah, 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 deeper understanding of different things. There were good things that came out of it, but at the end of the day, they just made good things They had lemons that made lemonade, right? But they were still dropped with a bunch of lemons all suddenly, and they had to make the best out of that situation, right? It was still a bad situation that they've just made the best of. Chapters ago, we learned that Matsuri truly does want to be a guy again. So you cannot ship from a story, once again, from a storytelling perspective, you can't ship them as guy and girl, because that means that Matsuri is going to be miserable for the rest of his life. Is that he'll never get to be who he truly is again. So you can't ship them that way. And especially, it doesn't really work for a number of reasons. Like, Nino Kuru is never going to see, it's always going to still be a guy sort of idea to him, even though, like, the situations, the physical aspects are there. But at the end of the day, when we saw when that one wish was taken away, when we saw that a couple chapters ago, he was perfectly normal. It's like, yes, my rival. He had no romantic feelings towards him at that point, because it was simply, he's a horny teenager. It's physical attraction based solely. It's got nothing to do with the other aspects, right? He's a good friend, and he likes, he really, of course, he likes him and stuff like that, and he sees him as a rival, and we saw that. So there's a fine line there, there's a fine line of making that argument. And the problem with Soga's sister here is that she is firmly believing in this. Now, she knows about the gender swap. So she knows that Matsuri is a guy. And she's now assuming, wants him to be her big sister. But that implies that Matsuri, once again, another thing against Matsuri's own wishes and own personal goals to become a guy again, completely defeats the purpose. Both as, I want to look up to him as a big sister and be my big sister, or is this literal, I want him to marry my brother so I have an official big sister-in-law, and it's Matsuri. So she took the wrong message away from this entire chapter, and this is going to continue. That's the problem. This is the problem with this chapter, is that this is going to continue. The little sister is going to constantly try, in between serious moments, to try to get these two together. And it's going to get old very fast. I'm already bored of it. So there's the big aspect, right? Now, just quickly here at the end of the review, to say, I've said all about the reasons as to why that won't work, why it can't work. Now, if you ship Matsuri with Soga, Kazumaki and Ninokuro, if you ship them together as intended, because this was all talking about the storytelling, the whole Matsuri stays a girl, which once again, from a storytelling perspective, cannot happen with a happy ending regardless, okay? It just can't happen. It's not within. We've already discussed the reasons why. So, let's say gender swap Jutsu is fixed, and you still ship from a yaoi standpoint. It happens in every series. You still ship these two. And that's why this chapter is not that bad, because you are shipping them as two dudes. Here's a big problem with that. They're not gay. I'm sorry to burst your fan fiction bubble, but the only reason, and we saw it in the 2 chapters ago, and we've seen it throughout the story, the only reason that Ninokuro is flustered at all is because he's a horny teenager with hormones. And he sees an attractive female. It's not just Matsuri, it's everybody. They even state, it's not Matsuri, it's every female outside of his family. Right? He's attracted to all of them because he's a guy. Perfectly fine. And Matsuri is attracted to females. No attraction to males. So they can't, you can ship them in your fan fiction all you want, but from the actual storytelling perspective, that makes this chapter bad. Because you can't ship them, it's not possible, because it's never going to happen. If it does, it completely breaks everything we know about the characters, right? And once again, this is no hate on the fact that if you want to ship them in your doujins, in your fan fiction, and etc., and if you just like them as a couple in certain ways, but within the confines, it does not work. It destroys the goal of Matsuri, right? And as I said, we already discussed the reasons as to, yes, certain things got better, and he's used to being a girl now, but at his core, at his heart, he still wants to go back to being a guy. He is not a girl, and he does not want to stay a girl. So you can't ship her with anybody as a female by the end of the story, because then Matsuri's miserable, there's no happy ending there. And number two, once again, Ni no Kuro is not attracted to dudes. The reason he has this weakness is because he's attracted to women. So, and once again, that's the big problem with this thing, is that the sister is going to be extremely annoying because there is no winning for her. So now we have a character here, like I've been talking about goals, we have a character here at the end that has a goal that is not possible within the confines of the story. Fan fiction, you go crazy with it. But she is never going to be happy if she sets this as her goal. So now she's going to be annoying for however long the series goes on to, until the end arc where she finally accepts that Suzu and Matsuri are meant to be together, not her brother. And she's going to fail at her goal. You know? So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just very frustrating, because all this chapter did was introduce a character who has a goal that's stupid and will never happen, and she's already annoying, and she's going to be annoying about it for the rest of the series. So hopefully she's not around very often. That's all I can say about that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I know this was a huge rant, probably one of the longest Ayakashi Triangle videos I made, but I really needed to get this across, because as I was reading this, I was getting myself more and more worked up, I was getting more and more irritated, because I can see all the potential bad chapters as a result of this bad chapter. It's going to be a snowball effect. It's going to, it's just going to snowball into having more bad chapters when she's in the story. And I had to explain the reasons as to why this is terrible, because of all the reasons I've already stated. And this could have been such a simple, easy chapter if she just got it through her head that it was a pride thing for for her brother. It was a pride thing. You don't ask, Vegeta would never ask Kakarot for help, right? Because they're rivals. That's the thing. So, it's just, it was quite frustrating. That's all I can say. So this is going to be one of the longest videos. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully I didn't make this bitch 25, 30 minutes. But anyways, that's my review. So clearly you guys can tell I'm not a fan of Chapter 85. I don't know how Ayakashi Triangle has continued. I guess people just like titties. The art style is great and everything, but the story, it leaves a shit ton to be desired. And chapters like this, and the last chapter, are not helping its case. Not helping it one bit. But, so yeah. That's Chapter 85. That's all I got to say about it. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to drink responsibly as always. Oh, look, Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta's there somewhere. There's Vegeta. So Goku and Vegeta, go figure. That was not planned. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And let me know what you think about this down in the comment section down below. I would be very interested to see if anybody has any counterpoints to this argument. As I said, I try to be as fair as possible, and I'm not trying to insult anybody with these statements. I'm just trying to say that we've already established in the story that Matsuri's intending to go back to being a guy by the end of the story. So, there's no intention for him to be happy as a woman by the end of the story. That literally was broken like 20 chapters ago. That whole storyline there was the seed of doubt right there, and it was squandered by the characters themselves in the chapters. So there you have it. I don't know what else. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time. Bye-bye.